Hello and welcome to Frost Over the World. Later in the programme I'll be talking to Hollywood actress Gina Davis and the new President of Colombia, Juan Manuel Santos. But first, Pakistan, which as of today has a brand new political party. Former President Pervaiz Musharaf announced in London the launch of the All Pakistan Muslim League, or the APML, as it will be known. The then General Musharaf took control of the country, of course, in an army coup in 1999, until he was forced to resign in 2008. And he hasn't been back since, partly for his own safety and partly because of the raft of charges he faces on his return. This is his first TV interview that heralds his return to politics. This is a very historic day for you because you're launching a new party. What was it that made you feel that Pakistan, at this moment, needs a new party led by you?
Well, I think, first of all, the environment in Pakistan, the difficulties being faced by the people and the country. And that led me to think whether I could deliver on the political front. Then I personally feel that a time has come where we need to introduce a new political culture, maybe shunning dynastic politics, and also bringing out the 60% people who do not normally vote in our elections.
And what is it you think you can really do that the current parties are not doing? Harness those feelings that you just said. Are there changes you would like in the way the country was run?
Certainly, better governance is the key issue. But I personally feel that at this time, what is required to salvage Pakistan and move it forward is a unity of thought and action between three forces, I feel. The political forces, which is the public, the people of Pakistan, and the military, army, and the bureaucracy. I think if one can bring in a unity of thought and action between these three, that is what is required to salvage Pakistan.
Well, obviously, the cooperation of the army is essential, but obviously, after your close links with the army, people might be worried or afraid if the army would have too much power in a country run by you again.
No, I don't think so. In the past, people used to complain that talk against cast aspersions on my legitimacy because I was a general, a man in uniform, and yet I was a president. Now I'm going to play on their ground. I'm going to be elected by the people of Pakistan. The key issue is whether the people of Pakistan have elected, and we actually need a powerful center, powerful government which can execute many things which need to be done in Pakistan. As I said, there are many things which have to be done to take the country forward, to change the environment of the country. Otherwise, every time a democratically elected government comes, it fails to deliver. So we must change this environment. An elected government must deliver in Pakistan. So in order to ensure that, there are things to be done, and they can be done only when a party or a person who enjoys this, as I said, the unity of thought and action between these three forces, he will be able to deliver.
And what will be, if you were outlining your manifesto, what's the most important of the policies, of the things you'll introduce? What's the most important for your manifesto, as it were?
Well, the key issue is the people of Pakistan. I think we have to change the lot of the people of Pakistan. But in the short term, I think we have to deal with the terrorism and extremism in all its complexity, because otherwise we won't be able to move forward. Because if we want to straighten out the economy of Pakistan, it all gets related. We need to put the economy on an upsurge. in order to deliver for the humans, for the people of Pakistan, and that cannot be done well unless we defeat terrorism and extremism. So this is, I'm sorry to be complicating the answer.
No, not at all, not at all, because when you're talking about terrorism and so on, a lot of people looking at the situation in Pakistan would say that while the army has had some successes, the general feeling is that the influence of the Taliban is spreading rather than getting smaller.
Well, it's not, I wouldn't say it is spreading, but I would say those elements which were dormant are developing a nexus with them. What I mean is, we have to fight Al-Qaeda, the Taliban, and then there are extremists in our society. Now these are the elements, I think, which need to be dealt with, because these extremists who then spawn terrorism, they feed terrorism, and they are there in various segments of our society. Now they are the ones who are trying to develop a nexus with what is happening in Kashmir, the freedom struggle, and therefore Mujahideen activity there, and also developing a nexus with what is happening in Afghanistan with the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. So that is the key issue, and I feel the government needs to address extremism in our society, strategize what needs to be done, and address it more strongly.
And I suppose there are at least two challenges or dangers facing you when you return to... In fact, when would you plan, with the next election in 2013, when do you plan to go back to Pakistan?
Well, if they are in 2013, which ought to be the normal case, that the government continues till 2013, I will have to, I don't know the date, but then we have to create a political environment which facilitates my going there, because I can see that you're going to ask me a question about the dangers that I face. To overcome those dangers, certainly one has to have a political base, a political clout. Then only can you handle a situation where I'm absolutely there and I have to interact with the people of Pakistan. So once I create that environment, I would like to go back.
And so you would, in fact, well, you need to go back months, if not years, but months at least before the election in order to get your message across.
Certainly, if my decision is that if at all there is any chance of mid-term elections, where a lot of people are talking that there will be mid-term elections, which means the election may be next year or the year after that, 2011 or 2012, then certainly I will go before the election, certainly. And if they are on 2013, not months, but maybe years before the election, I would like to go back.
A year before?
Certainly. Yeah. So I would like to create that environment, as I said, and then go.
And then, if you're going back to Pakistan, and people say there are two great dangers you face, and that the first, obviously, of those is the possibility of the legal actions that have been quoted against you. And I mean, I quote here, Prime Minister Gilani said yesterday that the Supreme Court Chief Justice would welcome Mr. Musharaf if he returned to Pakistan, as many cases had been filed against him. Is the legal situation going to be a really serious problem?
That is what all the opposition says. There is no case against me at the moment, and if at all a case is instituted, which it will be, I know that this opposition will create cases against me, and there are certain areas where they can move cases into the courts. None of them will hold ground. I know that. None of them will hold ground, and we will fight them in the courts. At the moment, there is no case against me. And as far as the Prime Minister, yes, indeed, he made this quite an irresponsible statement that the Chief Justice will come and receive me. I replied, I'll be too glad if he receives me at the airport. This is the first time that the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court receiving me at the airport. What couldn't be better?
What couldn't be better than that? And so that you're confident that, first of all, there will be attempts to try and put you in jail and so on, but you're confident you can fight them.
Absolutely.
None of them worry you.
Absolutely, none of them am I directly involved, and I know that the defense is very, very strong on any case that anyone institutes. But I know that this will happen because it's the political opposition which in Pakistan these dirty politics go on, their vindictiveness, and they are trying to incite people to take cases, even spending money to do that. So these will happen, but one has to face. And the stronger the political support, the stronger will I feel again, as far as the cases are concerned.
And well, that's one challenge, one danger, and the other obviously is the question of security. You touched on security in general, but I mean in your own case, in your own personal security case, I remember you advised Benazir Bhutto not to return to Pakistan at the time she was going to return with those tragic consequences. Do you fear? I mean, obviously there are terrorists. There are the ones we've talked about who would love to kill you if they could get their hands on you or their gun sights on you. I mean, how will you deal with that, and what gives you confidence and faith about that?
Well, first of all, I never advised Benazir not to come to Pakistan. In fact, we had decided that she will come after the elections. What she did wrong was to totally overlook security in going to places where she went. That was not a place to go, really. So first of all, I will have to be very careful. There is no doubt there will be threats. I have to ensure my own security, and as the ex-president I am supposed to be given some security from the government side, which I hope will be forthcoming. But most of all, it will be my own. I have my own security. I'll have to beef up my own security. I'll have to be careful staying in a place and moving around and addressing the people. One has to take certain measures, which I will. Then there is no 100% guarantee of anything. The rest is a little bit of a risk, certainly, quite a risk, which I'm prepared to take.
And would you like your destiny to lead to you being president or prime minister after the election of allegedly 2013? Which would you prefer to be this time, president or prime minister?
Well, under the circumstances, obviously you know that it's a parliamentary system. So first of all, step one is to win in the elections. The party has to win in the elections to be able to form government. Then only can one decide whether to be prime minister or the president. Under the circumstances, I would, if I have to run the government, and that is what I would like to do, I should be the prime minister. If I want to contribute, if I have the ideas to run the government, which I do have my own ideas, one can do that better as the prime minister. The president, under present circumstances, does not have any powers.
And as we talk, one thinks more and more that, in a way, if you're going to make this thing work, I think you'll have to go. You said a year before, but you may have to go. You may have to go back sooner than that to, because it's not easy to whip up a new party from nothing very quickly without your presence.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. Knowing people, having developed these contacts, as I am saying, I know that there are people who immediately want to be with me. Then there are people who would like to join me after I've announced my party and set this organization in place. And then there is a third group who says that we will join you, we are with you when you come back. So I totally agree with you that the main momentum of this party will gather when I am there personally.
Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you very much.
A delight. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. It has been a great pleasure.
Our thanks